Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with Brada and Kenny about Batman, the animated series. And this week, we have another super special guest. Another of our podcast betters comes to join us with Rivers Langley. How you doing today, sir?
Hola, ¿cómo estás, amigos?
Welcome back.
Uh, Let me just hit this language button on Zoom here. There we go. How you doing today, Rivers?
I'm good. I'm good. Feeling good. Feeling great. How are you?
Yes, glad to have you on for our Island of Dr Moreau episode. Tyger Tyger. So I think I like when I was first watched this episode when I was probably like 11 or 12, I probably wouldn't have gotten the reference because like I was probably wasn't really in my lexicon until like the 1996 movie came out with Alan Dr. Moreau with Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer there. So then I was like, okay, that's then probably realized that it was like an H.G. Wells book, and then be like, okay, that's probably what they were doing to Batman and stuff. But definitely didn't get had that the obvious allegories when I was like 11 years old. Do you ever watching this episode when you're like in your first watch of the show, Rivers?
Yeah, I think this one does stick out just because of the body horror element of it, where
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I guess I do remember Catwoman being turned into woman cat. Who can
yeah,
forget? But
yeah, and the giant Sphinx looking guy, the Tigress.
Tigress, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And let us not forget Garth. How did
Yeah,
how did
Garth.
he
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
how did
Garth.
he
yeah,
end
he
up
gets.
with that name?
I'm watching this thinking like this is like Gorilla Grodd or Monsieur Malin, like one of like the well-known, like of many
Yeah,
well-known
or something.
DC gorillas, and it's like Garth. Like, what
Yeah,
the hell is this?
just like that seems like the more weird name than Tigress for one of his animal creations, I think. So like, how the fuck did he like kind of come up with that? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume we're going to get into just the logistics of creating these animals because they seem to make no sense.
no,
Um,
not at all.
yeah, but I have a theory maybe that Garth is the that was the name of the monkey, sort of like Caesar. That was his the name that was given to him by the master, I suppose. The year is 1992, so Garth Brooks holds sway overall at the moment.
That is
so
true.
so perhaps it was a pet name for the monkey, and then he got the ability for sentience and human speech, and was just stuck with the name. So maybe it is sort of a Caesar
Or
situation.
maybe it was just like the guy he just like picked up off the street and like he just turned into the gorilla like spliced with like the gorilla like the fly style and then like man he's just like just keep that name and then he got Tigress like was more just genetic goo so I'm like I'll give you a fancy name instead so he just kept the dude's name just checked as well he's like Garth why the fuck not
Yeah.
Right, right.
he seems to respond to that so what the hell why not.
Yeah, it's like when, the dad gives the first son, some insane, long, crazy name. And then, you're a few years into raising a kid. And then the second son comes along. You're like, I don't know, man, Max, whatever, who cares?
Fuck. Oh yeah, there is a second kid. Oh yeah. So hey, we were supposed to think of this now. Yeah, Earth. There you
Yeah. Or, Garth is from the first marriage, perhaps. And
go.
then, the second wife was a little more demanding about the baby names and had to name it after her uncle, her very special uncle, Tigress.
You got the gorilla in the divorce.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was given the homework assignment, Rivers, when Adam wanted to bring it back onto the podcast. He's like, so you got to find an episode that will kind of fit Rivers' vibe. And I'm
Or just
like,
like
all
the
right, so weird it is.
just get him on for the weirder episodes. Yeah, because we'll
Yeah.
probably have something to say
Yeah.
about
Well, and I'll just mention it briefly because I don't want to, blow the next episode of your show. But I was looking at the episodes, and literally the next episode, a guy turns into a werewolf.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yep.
I saw
And
that.
then,
Just like you get the name of it, and I was like a werewolf one. I'm like, what the fuck? Do we have to
And
like
yet
skip to the again?
somehow these two episodes are completely unrelated.
yes, unrelated. And then to relate them, I think 3 episodes from now is another man bat episode.
Mhm.
So just in the, I mean, if you're just watching this as an audience, like I would love to get in the head of somebody who is watching week to week. And at a certain point, you just have to be like, is Batman gonna fight like the fucking Joker at some point, or is it just manimals? He's just fighting manimals.
Yeah, they're all like locked up in Arkham. So yeah, so like the D-list people are coming out of the woodwork. They're like, yeah, yeah, they're not stealing our shit, so we can actually do what we want, our like lame ass scheme. So coming out in
Yeah, well,
force.
this is the curse of of networks demanding 30 episodes for a season of Batman, where you're like, you need 10 and make them really fucking good. And then you can do 10 a year from now and make them really good. 30,
Yeah,
you're stretching it out into just like, I don't know, man. What if we just did Island of Dr Moreau?
yeah, no, there's like 60 fucking episodes in the first this first season, like 60 plus or whatever. I think it is. Yeah, for this, yeah, but yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
weird. I know cartoons always get triggered like weirdly huge, like first seasons or whatever. Like I always forget like cartoons that I liked. I like look at the first season, it's like 40, 60, or there's like one I can't remember what. There was like fucking like 80 episodes in the first season, and then like the second season, was like 7, and then it got canceled. I'm like, why the fuck do you front load this? Front load the first season, then just give us 7 and cut it. Oh,
Yeah, and I maybe made this point the last time we talked about the previous episode I commented on, but like Batman's been around since 1939. Why
yeah,
are we inventing people in this first season? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I realize like the Puzzle Master isn't that interesting, but like, I don't know. There's IP in existence.
Yeah, other than Catwoman, this is like all original villains, like in this episode, from
Yeah,
Tigress to Garth to one Emil Dorian, who Rivers, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a Jurassic Park fan, right?
yes, yes.
So yeah, this is pretty much John Hammond if he was walking around with well, I was gonna say walking around with a pimp cane, but really he did have a pimp cane.
He did.
But yeah, this is a younger kind of John Hammond type, but his fetish is strictly for cats.
Yeah, well, I mean, and even John Hammond is based on Dr. Moreau. I mean, he has an island full of
yeah,
genetic freaks that he's created. You know, the difference is they're not, you know, sentient. I guess
yeah, or
or
like
they're sentient, but they're not. They
yeah,
can't
like part
talk.
yeah, part human hybrids or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, this is like obviously it's a takeoff of Island of Dr. Moreau, as we mentioned, and I just wanted to mention the 1932 Bela Lugosi Charles Lawton masterpiece Island of Lost Souls, which is I think the first talking film adaptation of Moreau. Which, if you didn't know, if you know the Devo song Jocko Homo, that is where the line "Are we not men? We are Devo." That's where that comes from.
Oh,
Is
really?
Charles Lawton and I guess the in this case it would be Catwoman's character, this genetic hybrid woman. They're trying to escape the island, and they get surrounded by the freaks, and they start chanting, "Are we not men?" So, uh, and obviously that is the kind of time period that this version of Batman, the animated series, especially early on, kind of draws from, is squarely in that late 20s, early 30s kind of Art Deco aesthetic. So I feel like we couldn't go any further without mentioning the Island of Lost Souls, because I think it takes a lot from that as well. Because the H.G. Wells book is 1896, I think. So
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, so this would be a little bit more, as far as art design and thematically more in line with the Charles Lawton Bela Lugosi movie.
All right, as I said, this episode is Tyger Tyger. It was the 42nd episode produced, but it was the 30th one to air, having it air like October 30th, 1992. Do you remember what you're doing October 30th, 1992, Rivers?
Let's see. This would have been Halloween 1992. So I remember what I was for Halloween the next year, which was obviously Jurassic Park year. I went as
Yeah.
Robert Muldoon, the game warden, the of
Oh,
Clever Girl fame.
well,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
my mom found me like a cowboy hat at a yard sale, and they
Nice.
pinned up one side of it so he looked like a South African bushwhacker. Um, damn, what would have been in the night? See, this is what sucks is I think 92 would probably be my last year where my mom picks my Halloween costume because it's the day before Halloween when this airs.
Yeah,
So, goddamn, I think maybe I was Davy Crockett if I had
Davy
to
Crockett.
guess because I was massively into the Fess Parker, Davy Crockett's. We'd rent that movie, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, from the Kroger grocery store down the street from my house. So I think it was, yeah, I think that was what it was. And my mom actually like got together with a friend of hers and like they sewed I had like a buckskin outfit and everything.
Nice.
Like, yeah, dude. So that's probably what I was up to. I was probably just running
Yes.
around with my, uh, you know, far too realistic looking rifle. In hindsight, because back in the day, boy,
Uh,
those toy guns looked exactly the fuck like
yeah,
guns, and I had
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
rifle.
yeah. It's still 1992, so that was everyone was still a bit more chill than they are now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can
so
wear the roadkill on your head, but you can't bring the gun to school.
yeah, that's right. That's well, I mean, shit. Back then, you probably could. I didn't. I don't
That's
think.
true.
I don't think I did. But 1992, I'm sure nobody would have blinked an eye if I rolled up with a very realistic, 30-06. But yeah, I have to imagine that's probably what I was doing that day in
yeah,
1992.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I
I guess I,
think
I was 6 at that point.
yeah, I think I when yeah, it would been 11 at this point. So I think this might have been my last year if I probably was going out still. I think so, but I can't
Oh
remember.
wow.
Yeah, so I think I thought probably like 11, 12, 13 is I think it was when I stopped. So might be, if it's
Oof.
not my if not my last year, probably one of my last years. I think probably. I think.
Okay, so all right,
But
let's.
I can't remember what like what I would have been. I can't remember though.
I mean, I assume this is probably going to come out around Halloween, so this
Yeah, like
episode
the 22nd. Yeah, so the week before
perfect. So
Halloween. Yeah.
this won't be off topic because this aired right before Halloween, and we're talking about it. All right, what is the last candy you eat? Because like in my experience, you obviously do the chocolates first, and then you go down to the shitty candy. And the real crucial question is like, what's the last thing to go in your bucket? Or are you the kind of psycho that just reaches in and eats whatever comes out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely get like the chocolates first, and then like and then the rockets, which I think are different up here because like our rockets are what your Smarties are. Those little
Smarties.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because our Smarties are like candy coated chocolates. There's our
Con-
Smarties up here.
Controversial opinion. I kind of like Smarties.
Your
They're
Smarties or our Smarties?
ours, the chalky
Well,
bullshit
yeah,
things. Those are
yeah,
those are
yeah, yeah,
usually
yeah. Yeah,
those are the
yeah, like the rockets for us, Braden. So yeah, so I
Yeah.
definitely I do like they do have are they like just more chalky or do you have they have like the actual flavor to them like a candy
I
flavor
I
or
I think it's a I don't know. I think it's kind of a Fruit Loops
yeah
situation where they're
yeah
different colors, but
Yeah.
but there's some sort of yeah so it's definitely it's
I
definitely
think it's all the same flavor. It's just varying levels of
yeah,
tartness.
yeah probably yeah but
Like the white
yeah
ones are not tart at all, and then the
Yeah.
red ones are the most
yeah
tart, I think.
yeah
But
but
they're
yeah
all the same flavor.
yeah I feel that tracks yeah so your Smarties are rockets yeah so they definitely those are definitely higher up the list for me because I definitely I'd like those yeah because it's probably the only time you're gonna get those. I think the last thing for me is probably that it's always that a clump of like a hard like almost taffy type thing or whatever. It's for like really hard to chew and it just like a bit of a pain in the ass. But I'm like at least it's still fucking candy or something. So it's always the last thing because I'm like oh fuck at least it's something. I'm like nah and I'm like okay this sucks but there's only like 2 or 3 of them in there anyway. So
Dude,
yeah,
there was
it's like
always this there was always this house on my block where they would always hand out saltwater taffy, but the people in the house would buy this taffy months in advance, which that
oh
in and of itself isn't who cares, but they were very heavy smokers. And that
oh
taffy tasted like cigarettes, dude.
Oh
Like
my
it
gosh.
was the
oh.
gnarliest candy.
Uh,
Like you would eat it, it was just like, ah, fuck. So that was always last. But if I didn't have the cigarette taffy, then the last for me is always Tootsie Rolls. That's the shittiest candy in the world.
Secondhand smoking candy.
Yeah, dude.
I think Tootsie Rolls are probably lower on the list for me. Yeah, I think when I was younger, I probably liked them, but yeah, definitely as I was like getting older, yeah, they probably like would definitely went down the list. How about you, Braden? What's your very last candy for you?
Oh, I very last is the one I just like either handed to my sister or just threw out the Popeye cigarettes.
Oh, the
Oh,
candy
oh
cigarettes.
yeah, oh that's
I
right,
hated
yeah.
those. I don't know why.
See, I had actual cigarette. I had it's so
Yeah.
much in the way that Catwoman becomes woman cat. You had candy cigarettes. I had cigarette candy.
Yeah. Rivers is my bizarro doppelganger.
Yeah,
Right
actually,
down to the beard and the glasses.
weirdly, I have two cigarette candy stories that are unrelated. There's the one I just said, and then also my dad taught high school chemistry and physics in a little town called Lafayette, and one of the people that worked at the school, he and my dad were buddies, and he made me a wreath out of peppermints one year for Christmas, and I was like, oh, that's very nice. But also, he smoked a lot too, so I had a cigarette peppermint wreath too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why Batman is bringing up all of these these memories, but yeah,
Yeah, suppressed cigarette stories.
yeah, yeah,
Like, why won't you smoke, Rivers? This is why.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Shit.
So this episode starts off with this is like our like third or fourth appearance of Selena Kyle, I think at this point. I think Braden. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I see that it shows her showing up to the Gotham Zoo after hours, and she's looks over the edge of that. With I think it's after hours. So how the fuck did she get in there? Or do they? Or, yeah, because I think everyone knows that she's like Catwoman, so we're like, okay, just don't fuck with her to let her in, or does she have like a friend at the zoo? Do you think?
Yeah, one brief point.
Yeah.
Points immediately docked on this episode for the use of the papyrus font in the title card. Uh, but no,
Not a fan, eh?
as far as that goes, like you guys are gonna be much more able to answer this question than pretty much anybody. What what does Catwoman do? Because in this it seems to suggest that she is because my understanding is that Catwoman is a master thief, like that's her thing, is she steals diamonds and robs banks and shit. But in this it suggests she's an animal rights activist and that she's like what gonna let the tiger go or like take it away from being tortured at the zoo, like she's fucking Carol from Tiger King or some shit.
Oh my gosh. Just gonna
I,
feed Bruce Wayne to the tiger.
I mean, that would be that'd be more interesting than what happened here.
I don't know. I just took it that she was just like happened to be like going by the zoo and just wanted to pop in instead of like more like letting
But
it go with
but
that. But even
yeah,
still, yeah.
but that would suggest that she blew off a date with a billionaire to do that. And I'm like, unless she's fucking crazy,
Well, she
you know
well,
what I mean?
that's the kind of thing that she dressed her up as Catwoman. I think that kind of goes with thinking that she is kind of crazy though. Like
Yeah,
to a certain
but then she's like in street clothes too. That's the other thing. She's not even Catwoman at that point. She's
well,
just
I
like
said, well,
a
just like as a whole, like as because she does, because she is Catwoman now at this point, because this is like her fourth appearance. Yeah, so we all so if it wasn't like this is her first appearance, or like what the fuck she doing? We already know it's
yeah.
her. So,
Well, yeah, but that's what
but
I'm
even
saying. Like, what is she doing?
yeah.
Why
Yeah.
why is she at the zoo? Uh, and
Yeah, I think she's like talking to the tiger as well. When we see not Gorilla Grodd, that'd be like the sniper up in the tree or something like that, and shoot her with the trank dart.
yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
the trank it should be noted. The trank dart is also the first, inoculation to turn her into a woman cat. And so I was like, did they mix the serum with whatever
where we're
like
not.
anesthesia or something?
Yeah. It's like that
It's like
Tylenol of like tranquilizers. It does more than one function.
right. It's like when you get your COVID shot and your flu shot in the same gimmick. Well, even that they give you in two fucking arms. So I don't know. Anyway,
But yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
that does bring up a good point there, because yeah, you had mentioned like how she's going to get the tiger. How is she getting this tiger out of there in the first place? Like she's got no like crate, she's got no truck that we see at least. Like just like, I'm coming to rescue, and like the tiger just kind of looks up like, well, how the hell are you gonna do that? Like,
Right. Well, and
like,
she, I
like I'm going
maybe,
fucking where? It's like it's fucking like 9 o'clock. What the hell's going on? I'm supposed to be sleeping right now.
yeah, well, and maybe she's like doing reconnaissance or something
Yeah,
to maybe
maybe.
figure out how to extract the tiger. But in that case, like, why wouldn't you dress up like Catwoman? That seems like
Yeah.
a thing that, someone could see you pretty easily. They might recognize your face and be like, hey, there's a mentally ill woman with extreme toxoplasmosis trying to liberate a tiger. And then they would have your face at the box office for the zoo.
yeah,
At least put on a fucking shiesty.
she came to free the tiger, but she let Harambe go rot in the cage.
Yeah. She ended up getting her shit fucked up by Harambe. Which, by the way, did has Catwoman, the character, up until this point, encountered any manimals? Like we know Batman has fought manimals now,
Yeah,
but has Catwoman?
I think it's only been Man Bat so far. So and that was the first episode because she wasn't there.
Right, and
So
she is very chill
yeah.
about a talking gorilla.
True.
Like, granted, she has anesthesia pumping
Yeah,
through
yeah,
her veins,
yeah,
but
like,
still,
yeah,
she's just like, wait, what?
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think Talking Gorilla. I think it's like second or third on the list of worries right now. And the first is being like being knocked out. Yeah, so
Yeah, well, and then
but
just to like back me up on that, the next second the security guard sees them, and he is
yeah,
rightfully freaked out by the
yeah.
gigantic talking
Yeah,
gorilla.
oh yeah, he already like makes mention. He's like, oh yeah, they makes mention, at least it's like some huge dude or whatever. Then goes to try and save her, and then he gets knocked into the tiger dad's cage. And I'm like, oh no, this guy's gonna get Sigmund and Freud.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah,
But then we find out after in the next scene, it's Bruce Wayne going to the restaurant, and he like calls up Alfred, and he's like, hey, like have you heard from Selena? I was supposed to meet her for dinner, but you haven't heard from her yet. And to more the further Rivers point from earlier, like she did call Alfred and say that she was going to be late because she was going to the zoo to meet her friend. And it's 1992, so there's cell phones aren't a thing at this point. So like, yeah, this definitely wasn't on like Gotham City being like the future because or future stuff or whatever. So like, she would have had to call
well,
from a landline, and
well, Bruce,
the zoo is closed. So she would
well,
have had to call. Sorry,
Bruce has a cell phone. That's what he's
does he?
talking because
Oh yeah,
he's
that's right.
stand.
All right, I get.
It's like
Oh
a
shit, I
Oh
didn't.
gigantic.
yeah,
It's an Art
Oh yeah.
Deco.
It's
it's
like
got
It's
the Zach Morris tone.
the Art Deco Zach Morris.
yeah. So I think cell phones do exist
Oh
in
yeah, that's
this
right. Oh, that's right.
in
That's right.
this time.
I was just thinking it was the restaurant phone, but now
Yeah,
that you mentioned it, I guess it
but
was. Yeah.
yeah, but the excuse where she says she's going to meet her friend, I do think that she means the tiger.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the
Oh, that's
that's
what I took. Yeah,
It took me a lot longer than I care to admit to realize to think about that. I'm like, no, she didn't see a good person and then go to the tiger. I'm like, oh, she means the tiger. Duh.
yeah, that she's gonna try to set free or whatever. But like again, you're blowing off a date with a guy who has $1 billion.
Oh yeah,
And you're,
that's why I was thinking it probably wasn't going to be like that night specifically, but it's going to be like one of these days, Tiger. Like
yeah,
I have a plan, but it's not tonight because I'm going to go like get like a really fancy steak with a billionaire. And
yeah. Well, that's the thing is like we've established that she is a thief. Her primary motivator is money. So like she could have a secondary interest in animal rights, perhaps, but the date with Bruce Wayne is going to take precedence if she
you'd
is
think,
who
right?
they have made us believe that she is.
Well, and also like you talk to Bruce Wayne and you make mention of like, this tiger situation. He can do it all legally, but I guess she's got the adrenaline junkie chase she wants to do. And also like she thinks like Bruce Wayne's just gonna be like, so this means you want to date me, right? It's like, no, for the love, like, because
Yeah,
he's turned him down several times. Like,
that's actually a great point. It's like, yeah, Bruce Wayne could extract the tiger from the zoo in a matter of moments, just writing a check. Like, seems like stealing a diamond or emptying a bank vault is one thing, but yeah, stealing a tiger is it's pretty difficult.
yeah, I'm sure that Sue's probably fucking starving for hurting for money pretty bad. So just come a check for a couple hundred grand or whatever. It probably wouldn't be that expensive really because Because yeah, there's always that statistic that you always hear that there's like more tigers in captivity in America than there is in the wild, like where they live or whatever. And so I imagine all those people don't have that much money to buy a tiger, so they're probably not that expensive.
Right. And then for on the flip side, if you're Bruce Wayne
Yeah. Well, no,
and
yeah. So yeah. So either way, even if it was expensive, it wouldn't really matter to him anyway.
well, no. I mean, if you're Bruce Wayne and you are dating a woman who blew you off to go stare at a tiger at midnight at the zoo, they continue to have a relationship throughout this series. Like that's as they say, a deal breaker. You're like, oh, she's mentally ill.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like going to say hi to a tiger like isn't the weirdest thing that she's done. So
Yeah, because
so I thought,
that's the thing. I think Batman could reconcile in his mind wanting to date a thief because he understands criminality. What he does not understand is a woman just been like, "Look at you, ooh, by the light of the moon,
all
wow,
the time.
what a beast."
Look at his eyes.
Yeah, it's like, hey, stealing diamonds is one thing. That's fucking nuts. Stealing diamonds is a thing humans do. Going to the zoo after hours to look at beasts, that is
Yeah.
purely Joe Exotic,
Yeah,
Tiger King activity.
yeah, if that tiger kid didn't tell us anything, that anyone that like fucks with tigers that much is fucking weird as fuck.
When Batman thinks you're crazy, get help.
Well, no, that's the problem. He doesn't. He's the world's greatest detective, and he doesn't think it's crazy. He continues to be with this woman throughout the series, right? Like, she is a primary motivator for him. Like, I don't know if they have like a relationship, but he's at least still like willing to associate with her.
True enough, yeah. So that's I believe when we cut to Selena. She's waking up on the like a laboratory slab strapped down, kind of like Bride of Frankenstein looking thing.
Oh yeah.
And that's when we're introduced to the two, I guess I would consider them the villains of the show for this episode, Tigress and Dr. Emile Dorian. So, what do you guys think of these new characters?
I have an issue with, and they had no way of knowing, of course, that the Marlon Brando Island of Dr. Moreau film was 4 years away. So obviously they
Yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen. Nothing Dr. Moreau related is going to be weirder than just Marlon Brando the human.
Oh,
So
yeah.
as much as they try to make this guy creepy, you're like, buddy, you're not doing enough. I'm sorry. You're not doing nearly enough.
Yeah, we were actually just talking before you came on, Rivers, like because I know the premise of the Dr. Moreau story, but I never saw the movie. What I do know is the dumpster fire that was the production schedule of that movie. Because
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Famous.
the director getting fired like what 4 days into the shoot or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, but that's not the weird part. Richard Stanley, the director, gets fired, but doesn't leave the set. He's just hiding in the woods and like observing things. And like Marlon Brando drove him so crazy that he becomes his character in Apocalypse Now. He becomes Colonel Kurtz
it really
and
does.
it just goes wild in the jungle. And they're like, hey, didn't we fire that guy? Why is he building a fire on the beach and dancing around it and shit? Like,
Did you hear the story about the ice bucket?
yes. Oh God, there's a whole documentary about Richard
Yeah.
Stanley and the production of that movie, and every story is so fucking incredible.
Have you heard this story, Adam?
uh, Probably, but I don't remember it offhand.
Well, you're the historian of the cast, Rivers, so I'll leave you to that.
No, what is you go, you go. I
All
don't
right. So
refresh me.
my understanding is that like because Brando's like kind of knows he's like the big man on set, he's kind of acting like he can get whatever he wants. So he said to the director like it's really hot because like they're on like an island, so like it's very humid, it's tropical. So he's like, I want to have like an ice bucket to cool me down, and he's like, okay, so like we can cut, and he's like, no, put it in the scene. So
Yes,
they
that's right.
put this
Okay, yeah,
ice bucket on his head. He specifically asked for it on his head. So they
yeah,
had to incorporate it and like change the scene around. And his rationale was that
yeah.
Dr. Moreau had not only experimented on like patients, but also on himself to be like a man dolphin hybrid so that he had a blowhole on the top of his skull, hence the ice bucket. I'm like, what LSD was Marlon on, man? Like,
Oh
Well,
yeah. Well,
that
he's on the most powerful drug of all, which is no one has told him no since 1958. That is that's the thing that drives you nuts.
oh yeah.
but blow hole in the top of the head, that's not how that works at all.
Are you questioning Jor-El of Krypton?
Not 100% if I've seen that movie all the way through, to be honest.
Well, and it stars a Batman.
That's true.
Hey.
Yes, yeah, Val
No,
Kilmer.
no, I meant the Superman movie, not
Ah,
Dr.
Oh
Moreau.
yeah.
Yeah, like how they, but or if I did, it's probably not like all like in one sitting.
yeah, so I'd mentioned earlier that like Emil Dorian is kind of like this John Hammond type. He's basically like a geneticist who's figured out how to create life. And okay, so is the implication that like I know Tigress is like supposedly like born out of like a laboratory experiment, but is the implication that Garth is as well, or he was a human that got turned into a gorilla man? Because like the guy's just like at this point just completely off the reservation and just like experimenting with science because he can. And
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
my that ties into my big note about the thing, which is I wrote, aside from the fact that she dresses like a cat, why does Catwoman need to be involved in this at all? Like, if Tigress was created in a test tube, like, why would you downgrade to a human woman turned cat? Like, I think the implication is that they're supposed to breed and create super cats, but like, if you could create the gift of life from dirt, then breeding is not necessary, and in fact, is a hindrance to time. It's like, dude, just make more test tube babies. Then
yeah,
that seemingly takes less time than just natural human slash cat gestation.
yeah, I'm not unconvinced that Dorian doesn't just want to boink cats. Like,
Yeah, or frankly, I mean, if we're let's get real serious here for a second. He wants to watch. He wants to watch.
oh yeah,
He's a cuck.
100%.
He does
Yeah,
not want to be involved in this at all. He clearly, because then if he did, he would have turned himself into a cat. That's not his fantasy. His fantasy is watching the cats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's probably why Tigress is so fucking like so huge, and then you
Wait a
got
minute. Wait a minute. I hold on. I think I've cracked it. I know how Dorian found out about Selena Kyle. They're both in some sort of weird Fight Club support group for people who want to watch cats. Do it.
Yeah, that
That's
would be her kink.
that is what it is. Holy shit. And then she finds out that it's not really she's like him. She's like, I don't want to be involved, actually. I also just want to watch. Holy
Yeah,
shit, man. That's because it doesn't explain how the fuck he knows that she's Catwoman unless
no, no,
they had
I
some
no, I
prior
think
contact.
no, I was under the impression I think at that was point that it was like well known that Selena Kyle was Catwoman in at least in this series. I thought so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
All right, right on.
I thought really. I think that's what he just yeah. So he just has like a weird cat fetish. Yeah, because he didn't really say like why. Because you say you can make Tigress just in a tube or whatever. Yeah, so there's yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what the now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck his end game was supposed to be with getting her other than he could really. I guess or just he does have the money for that to for the chemicals or whatever or for like that lab time
I
to make
still
hers.
I, I still like my Fight Club theory. His name is Emil Dorian. His name is Emil Dorian.
Or her name is Selena Kyle. Her name is
First
Selena
rule of
Kyle.
Kitty Club.
like I've heard of people that grew up on Lion King and some of their first crushes were Nala of all the Disney characters. But I think Dorian has taken it to the nth degree because this guy somehow manages to sound while he's talking about cats, somehow has reached the achievement of sounding both bored and aroused at the same time. Like, I love cats. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Agility, the strength. Oh, tigers. No.
yeah. Well, and that's also like a funny thing too, because he's obsessed with cats because he says they're independent and powerful. And then the creators of the television program, who have the pin, both literal and figurative, proceed to not make Catwoman either of those things throughout the show. She is nothing. And even when they turn her into a freakish man beast, it's like, dude, this is the one shot. Like, have her fuck some shit up. She's a
Yeah,
she's an
yeah,
animal.
yeah. Because in the earlier episodes, it showed that she did like fight against Batman and does like know some moves. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
even with like Doctor's theory that she would have been like faster and stronger, she should have been able to fucking take should be able to take Batman at this point. But yeah, but she did. Yeah,
Yeah, she can't.
she did do nothing.
Yeah, like normal Selena can't like jump up a tree and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like can't clamber up walls, but this one can. Like let her fuck up Tigress.
Yeah, because you think be like slightly like Spider-Man, yeah, you get like the powers of a cat sort of thing, yeah. So you should get the almost like precognitive like cat reflexes or whatever, like the Spider-Man sort of thing, whatever, and then like be able to jump like three or four times, five times your like body length or height or whatever sort of thing. Yeah, but
Yeah, like that's kind of the obvious thing of this movie is like
yeah,
Batman should just have his ass completely kicked, and then it's up to her because she's a cat. She's a woman cat now.
yeah,
She
Like,
literally has the evolutionary advantage.
yeah,
yeah, but yeah,
it's
but
weird
yeah,
they didn't use that.
yeah, she
Yeah.
like, yeah, it says it was like a step down, yeah.
Yeah. So jumping back to Emil Dorian, Rivers, because I know you talk a lot on your podcast about rich people and their weird obsessions. You know
Yes.
any stories of scientists or billionaires that try to play God with genetics?
Well, there's that one guy who's fucking playing that spends like $2 million a day or year or whatever
Oh,
to make his like genetic age like reverse it or whatever the fuck. There's that
yeah,
guy,
yeah, that's the guy from Venmo. One of the he
yeah, or
wasn't the
something
creator
like
of Venmo. He created something similar to
that.
Venmo that then got bought, or I guess that he sold to Venmo that then got sold to PayPal. So
Okay.
just like classic, like Silicon Valley guy.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, let's see. I know I've got the notes for that episode.
yeah.
I'll pull them
I
up.
forget what that buddy's name. I pull him up, but there's like yeah, that's the only guy I can think of offhand. That's probably the closest. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
because like, yeah,
he used his own teenage son as a blood boy.
oh yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
do remember you talking about this guy.
for like
Yes.
it was like the plasma or some shit or something like that. I think or
Yeah, his name. Oh, okay. Yeah, his name is Brian Johnson. Not
That's
to
uh,
be
it.
confused with the lead singer of AC/DC.
ACDC
That's the good
or
Brian Johnson.
or the Brian or even like the other Brian Johnson from like comic book men that only like like a handful of people might know. That's the
Yeah,
only Brian Johnson I know. Yeah.
yeah. He so yeah, he takes 100 supplements a day, which as we said in the episode, I imagine his piss is crazy. Um, if he's taking 100 vitamins a day, he's probably got his piss looks like the rainbow pop the popsicle. Um,
It's
but
the
yeah,
rainbow.
yeah, but no, he spoke at a convention, and we cracked up about this on the podcast because it just was. I have to go to this at some point. He spoke at a convention in 2023 called RADFest, which stands for the Revolution Against Aging and Death Conference,
Oh my gosh.
which is just pure snake oil, and then lots and lots of like venture capital, Silicon Valley weirdos being like, "Yes, how can I take my boring, stupid life and make it 50 years longer?" It's like, they always say like all the wrong people are gun nuts. I similarly think all of the wrong people want to live forever. You know, like you're not going to find a tortured artist who's creating brilliant shit being like, yes, more of this life.
Yeah.
You're only going to find the most boring man who lives in air conditioning his entire life, ordering his subservience around to make him look like he knows what he's doing on a computer. Those are the assholes that want to live forever.
Yeah, typically the people who are like reaching for like immortality are not people. It's like, I want to share like, my skills and, like my gifts to the world. No, it's like I want to see how much more damage I can do to
It's
the
like, no,
human
like
race.
I want all the money, so I'll live longer, so give me more
Yeah.
longer chance to take it all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're all like natalist freaks too. It's why Elon Musk has like 20 kids. He's like, oh yes, more of me. They're like, no, less,
Yeah.
way less.
We don't want any of you at this point.
Yes, a -1 would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he literally this guy Brian Johnson literally went to an island off the coast of Honduras for a $20,000 treatment to edit his DNA to try to live forever. And you read that and you're like, have you never read anything ever? Like, and that's the other thing about these fucking freaks is that they're all sci-fi nerds, right? Do y'all know what the first science fiction book is? What is
I think
considered to
Oh,
be the first?
it's a Frankenstein, right?
It's fucking
Right.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The first story in the genre that you claim to love is all about don't do that.
yeah, exactly.
This is a bad idea.
It's always a bad idea. Yeah. And also, speaking of living forever and tortured artists and shit, did you know Mary Shelley was 19 when she invented science fiction?
Yeah, there's like
All
18
right.
or yeah, I know you had
Yeah.
18 or 19, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's fucking 19 years old and just comes up with this. So, I always tell anybody who's like, should I start doing art now? You're like, you're already beat. It doesn't matter. Go for it.
That's wild. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
and also to your point, because one of the things I remember you mentioning, Rivers, be it when I mentioned this episode, you studied Blake in college, yes?
I did, yeah. So my studies were specifically in postmodernism and ancient Greek literature, but I always loved the Romantics, and Blake is he's slightly outside. He's older than all those guys, but he's sort of he is to the Romantics what the Velvet Underground was to punk rock. Like an evolutionary antecedent, as they say. And yeah, ever since actually it was my 12th grade English class, I'll credit Davis Thompson, who is still to this day like one of the most brilliant people I've ever been around. Was my AP English teacher. Got us into Blake in a way where I've never been able to shake it, and I think the fact that Blake is able to get to the point so quickly and so succinctly in a way that just sticks with you, and it helps that his a lot of his shit is short, but like the Proverbs of Hell, for instance, I'll do a reread on that, a couple times a year, just because there's so much gold just in those little lines. Like the one that I always think about the most is he says, "Expect poison from standing water." So it's like, yeah, man, that's good advice for comedians. Where it's like, yeah, if you get to a point where you're still doing your old shit and you haven't thought about the way society has moved on from you, you become poisonous. And that is great advice. And if you take a look around at the unfortunate landscape of stand-up comedy, it is advice that should be heeded more. The other one that I like, just as the kind of lefty that I am, which is a dog starved at the master's gate predicts the ruin of the states, where it's like and that's in the book Proverbs of Hell, but very much applies to something like to the least among you you do unto me, like something from the New Testament, where it's like, okay, yeah, like if you can kind of look around at a society, see how society treats the lowest classes, and that'll tell you if it's rotten or not, stuff like that. So with Blake, and the funny thing with this poem that this episode references, the Tiger, is, and I think the writers of this episode are guilty of this as well, is that people think he's talking about a tiger and not the devil, which is great. So the tiger comes from the Songs of Experience, and that was actually 1794, and then I think 2 years later he writes the Songs of Innocence, and the tiger is meant to be the counterpoint to the later poem The Lamb. So again, innocence, experience. You're talking about the lamb, who's this very innocent child of God, The tiger is an exploration of that. It's it is the oldest like teenage question of religion, where it's like because the line is, "What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?" Meaning, is the tiger being created by the same person who created the lamb? And it kind of goes, it's about like, I guess, the nature of God, which is an interesting thing to build a Batman episode around if they did that. But I don't think they actually did. I think they just were like, oh, tiger. No, it's big cats. All right, let's
Yeah.
go.
I only recognized the title, like I knew about the poem, but more because my sister had got us hooked as a family onto The Mentalist. So
Yeah,
I
I was
know
gonna say
that the
yes.
Tyger Tyger poem was used a lot by Red John, who, for lack of a better comparison, is kind of the devil of that show.
Oh,
And
okay, so they get it.
Oh,
I
oh yeah.
I'll never forget Mr. Thompson, who was from Bruton, Alabama, and their mascot of their high school, like ours, was the tiger. And apparently, they would put the poem at the beginning of all their yearbooks. I'm like, that is fucking metal as hell, dude. Like, yeah, fuck it. Let's talk about the devil, and then look at pictures of us at May Day.
was this a red state or a blue state? And it just went over their heads.
Yeah, this is Alabama, so
There you go.
there you go. Yeah, yeah,
That's a
Bruton,
nice
Alabama.
answer. That's funny. So yeah, trying to I think it's Selena gets the second dose from Dorian at this point, and that's when Batman quickly jumps to visit Dr. Kirk Langstrom, also known as Man-Bat.
Yes.
And
or is it also known as the Beastmaster?
oh, I keep forgetting he's
Yeah,
Beastmaster. Yeah.
Mark Singer. Yeah, so I always like when so when he shows up as Langstrom, yeah, I always think of the Robot Chicken sketch, which like was because it was like that the end sketch, so it's always longer, where they're doing like a Beastmaster like musical, and like they had like Gene Simmons like being like the singing like the main voice, and he was just like, I am the Beastmaster, just fucking singing up there. So every time I always think of that, and then the Community episode where Pierce comes out as like Beastmaster, the one year out in the Halloween episode.
Well, ironically enough, I do know in the Beastmaster sequel, there is like a tiger that, or maybe it's the first one. They like the production details I know, they took a tiger and they like spray painted the thing black, much like Tigress, the character in this episode, because he's not really a tiger. He looks more like a panther. And guess what? They ended up killing the poor thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel it's probably never a
Toxic
good idea.
paint. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's probably feel it's probably never a good idea to paint an animal. Yeah.
I like that the urban legend from Goldfinger
Yeah.
actually happened, but it was to a tiger.
It didn't work for that movie, so like, why it should be fine for that for this? So we're like, oh, it did.
Yeah, yeah. That was always funny whenever they would talk about like, yeah, that chick that was gold, she actually died because her skin couldn't breathe, and it's very funny to be like, yeah, you don't breathe through your skin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how that works.
You're not a cactus.
What? That? Why didn't you tell me this earlier, Rivers? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I wanted to say about just including Man-Bat in this, it kind of draws way too much attention to the fact that like the writers were essentially like, what if we did Man-Bat but woman cat? Like you're like, no, don't, you got to kind of hide the fact that you're big lazy here.
Yeah. Well, and
Oh,
it's a go ahead.
I was gonna say also he's keeping like a mandrill
Yes.
cat hybrid thing in a cage too, and you're like, Batman, didn't you like kick his ass? Like, why is he still working? Didn't I haven't seen On Leather Wings in 30 years, but like, what did he do crimes? Why? What's going on? Why isn't
Yeah,
he in jail? Why does he still have a job?
It's good point.
Yeah, it was the first. Yeah, it was like the first episode, man. Like, yeah, he should have. Like, it was busted. You knew who it was. You figured out at the end. Yeah, why is he still? Yeah, because he had like, because at that point, didn't he had like a cat?
He's,
He had like a
he's
cat
got
cat bat thing in his thing, whatever. And they're like, what the fuck is that thing?
he's got tenure. So they
Oh yeah.
can't fire him. He's like Jordan Peterson.
12
Oh,
Rules of Life by Kirk Langstrom.
that's a great episode, dude. As Batman tries to get his tenure revoked.
Oh my
Oh
god.
fuck! And they have a giant fight like in the lecture hall. Oh shit, man! Give me that. Where's that? That'd be a funner episode than this.
Yeah.
He tries to get Dr. Kirk Langstrom fired from Gotham University.
Some things even Batman can't do.
Yeah, yeah. We actually can't get rid of him. He's got tenure.
Yeah,
That's
the one thing that the money can't help you with, you.
Yeah.
Money or Batman, yeah. Okay.
The system is broken, Alfred.
I can't get rid of this guy.
Yeah. So one quick thing I want to mention is he talks about splicing. So like I know like splicing is like a somewhat known term in like sci-fi lore, but what it also is a term that'll be later used in Batman Beyond because they have more people who are like these animal people hybrids to the point where it's like known as like we're currently just like splicing. And I think there's like even like a drug craze, like they kind of use it like kind of heroin addicts or something like that. I could be wrong in that regard, but this is kind of
so you can temporarily achieve manimal status and then go back because that would be awesome.
yeah, more or less like Kurt Connors in that
I was
Spider-Man
gonna say,
movie.
yeah, that's kind of what he was doing, yeah. So I imagine they probably take his formula. Yeah, it's been a while since I only went through Batman Beyond once, so I'm gonna have to go through that again, maybe.
But yeah,
We'll see.
that's the new craze in the future. People want to become like reptiles and ostriches and shit.
Get over here.
Yeah, I like that the Doctor fills in Batman about the existence of a massive tropical island just off the coast of Gotham. Like, I feel like Batman, of all people, or at least Bruce Wayne, should be aware of the existence of a large tropical island off the coast of his city.
Or Gordon.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Like,
like,
what's that
oh,
over
did we
there?
mention? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
don't you?
so once he said that, I'm like, well, then it's like fairly obvious that they're just ripping off like the Island of Dr. Moreau when they did that. So because I just figured it would just been like some building or something or some like
Well,
broken
my
down hospital or whatever.
my beef is not with the fact that it's an island. My beef is that they say it's just off the coast. It's like if he kidnaps Catwoman and takes her to like Honduras, then Batman can still get there. It doesn't change anything, but just that one little line of like, oh, it's an island just off the coast. You're like, yeah, probably everybody would know if there was. And it's so funny because when they get to the fucking island, you can hear birds, like parrots and monkeys and shit. And you're like, it's got the
This is
jungle
not the
sounds.
Western Hemisphere.
This is not the coast of New Jersey. That is, I've been to Long Beach Island. There's no there's no howler monkeys on
Yeah, I was
LBI.
gonna say like that's not that far from Canada where we live. Like the weather doesn't get that much better that close.
Yeah, all those tropical birds are fucked when December rolls
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Snooki's just crawling out of the bushes like
Yeah.
like furry looking thing she was in South Park.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get to the island, or Batman gets to the island.
I have a note here.
Yep.
Okay. So I feel like there was a mission in the 90s to try to make hang gliding look badass. And it's not possible.
No. Yeah, because it's
They
like a
ch-
second.
They
It's like-
tried they tried with Kurt Russell in Escape from LA, and he looks
yeah.
like a fucking goober. And
Yep,
now they
100%.
tried it with Batman, and he looks like a goober. If Kurt Russell and Batman can't make hang gliding look cool, it can't be made to look cool. You look like a fucking dork on a hang glider. You can make
Yeah,
it some other element, but like it's so funny to watch Batman hang gliding because you're like, it doesn't look cool, man.
Rivers,
Yeah.
let me tell you about a guy named Kite Man.
Yeah, because
I'm
I think
sorry?
it was like this is the second or
No,
third
that's a
time
legit
I think
DC supervillain.
Oh,
He's on his own show right now.
I thought this was some local Canadian hero, and I was so excited to learn everything about Kite Man. I'm so sad to find out he's fictional.
No, it's like a spin-off of the Harley Quinn show. And
Okay.
they even bring back the same like adaptation of Bane.
What does he do? Is he just a guy on a fucking hang glider?
Pretty much.
But is he like badass or is he a fucking dork?
Adam,
I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
yeah, I'm like, I just know about it, like, and I know like our mutual friends at Dr. DC, they'll like talk about him from time to time, but
Look,
yeah.
if he's a software dork, if he's the guy trying to live forever, if he's that, then great. You can use that. Like it is a like if I was if I was in professional wrestling and I was a bad guy, I would try to find a way to enter on a hang glider because it is that nerdy.
It hasn't been
So
done yet.
yeah, but like I'm saying, like you can't make a hero look cool on a hang glider.
No. Yeah. Because I said, yeah, I think that's like the second or third time that Batman's like coming on a hang glider. Yeah, and it never works out for him really. So I don't understand why they keep on fucking using it for.
Well,
They used to they
the
used
last
to
time it happened, it was like a turret like shooting bullets through the
Yeah.
thing.
like I said, Kurt Russell is on the hang glider like with an Uzi trying to kill Cuervo. Is it Cuervo Jones? I think is the name of the villain who's
Yeah, I
supposed to be
think so.
like
Yeah.
he's like Che Guevara and he takes over Disneyland and Kurt Russell like flies in just like shooting everybody with an Uzi and you're like it still looks lame. It can't look cool. Give up. Like I think everybody went to Acapulco and went hang gliding. Everybody in Hollywood went to Mexico and went hang gliding in 1989, and then they spent the next 10 years trying to make this activity look like anything other than a thing that nerds do.
Some studio executive had a midlife crisis and decided to cross something off his bucket list, and now it's in studio notes everywhere.
They used to include hang gliders with the Batman action figures. Like I had a Batman, it would come with a hang glider, and even then you're like,
Why?
this sucks. You have to like toss it aside. You're like, dude, this sucks. Like
And plus,
it's
that's what I thought that was partially what the cape was for. You just like hang on to the end or do the Batman Begins thing and like electrify it and you can fly that way. Like fuck, like
Christopher Nolan understood this on a deep
Yes.
level and he rectified the situation. You'll recall Batman Returns, he's got this like giant ridiculous thing that like pops up and then he, proceeds to hang glide over the Christmas parade. And I guess that looks a little cooler because it's more wings. It doesn't, I think it's something about the safety bar. And
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
just something about, and this might just be me, but like there's something about it that just looks so
yeah.
deeply fucking
You're
nerdy.
just like suspended behind it, or whatever. Yeah, you're just like hanging on. Yeah, it's
Yeah, and so Nolan understood on a deep level that it's like, okay, this man has to be able to glide, but it can't be a hang glider because that
it looks
sucks.
fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks dumb.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
even like the last like Batman movie, the one with Pattinson, where he's got like the wingsuit looking thing, but he looked like inflated. And like, okay,
yeah, yeah,
I admire that they were at least willing to like have him like crash, like he's like
Yeah,
still
he
like
totally, yeah,
finding
like
his feet as
it totally
Batman.
like ate shit doing it, using it
Oh
too.
yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
okay, so you're at least going for that. He looks ridiculous here. Like,
yeah. It's a conundrum with Batman. I don't know how they solved it. I think Nolan came the closest to just
Yeah,
explaining it in one line, like, yeah, we got electricity in the cape or something. I don't know. Fuck it,
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. Morgan Freeman will explain it.
Yeah,
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
one
yeah.
line too.
Yeah, just have him
Science,
explain away.
woobity goobity something shit. So that's where he gets to the castle, Batman of Dorian's laboratory. And Garth is like right behind him, and like he's gonna like crack his skull open like a coconut. And the funny thing is like Dorian is like looking up and like he's not even like surprised Batman's there. He's just like, just bring him down. I don't care. Like just don't bring like shattered glass on the carpet. Like
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
here already. Just bring him in.
he is kind of doing Stewie Griffin a little bit.
that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, he sounds
Yeah, Tigress. Like he rolls the R, that word.
damn you, vile woman.
Yeah,
And so Batman's like, "Where's Catwoman?" He's like, "Don't worry, I've made sure to take good care of her." And that's where he shows like this like jungle enclosure looking like exhibit where Catwoman has transformed into I guess she's supposed to be a cheetah but she doesn't have spots, and it's like they keep on
Mountain
showing her.
lion. Mountain lion is what I was
That's the
thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
or cougar in more Batman's
Puma,
case.
same thing.
And Batman's like looking at her like, I don't know whether to be turned on or horrified. Like,
I think he's pretty horrified. Yeah, I think.
yeah,
Yeah. You're not gonna catch Batman at the zoo at 9 p.m.
no,
He's not that
it's
kind of
true.
guy.
Yeah, that's his deal breaker.
It should have been.
You'd think, right?
Yeah.
So he picks up like a desk and like smashes like the enclosure open so that like Catwoman can get free. And what's funny is like it's like Selena, like it's me, and like Dorn's like, don't do that, you'll just confuse her. Like you'd think like she's like had this like psychological transformation. She's just like
Yeah.
Batman, like she's just talking normally. Like this has not affected her mental state whatsoever. Like
Yeah. They don't really establish like, oh, is she gonna be like uh she's not gonna remember who she is, kind of a thing.
yeah, she's
Because
not feral.
yeah, because like that would if that was the case with like Tigress, for instance, like he made him believe that he was a test tube creation, but actually, they sapped his memory somehow, and he was actually a regular person at some point. That might be interesting, but they're not going to explore that.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like this episode was kind of going as you were mentioning before over some like interesting themes of like I guess like the laws of nature, but even that's not really connected to like the real meaning of like the Blake poem.
No,
And so like it's skin deep at best with it. It's just a dude just trying to see like how horny he can get for cats. Like
yeah, because if it was sort of going off of the Blake poem, you would make the Dorian character more like John Hammond, actually, like this sort of, vaunted scientist who everybody's like, oh my God, he was able to make life from nothing. Like that would be a first, like, and even Batman is very cavalier because at one point when he's fighting Tigress, he's just like, your father was a test tube. And you're like, yeah, that's crazy if that's true. That's like,
yeah.
you are the first or the first ever,
Yeah, like you're the first of your species. Like this is a scientific achievement. And he's just
right,
like, yeah, but I want a boink Catwoman.
right. Yeah.
And
Yeah, but oh,
Yeah,
that's
because I
kind of
think
what they're
even
going for here
yeah, I
with
think
like
that's like Tigers even says that at one point. He's like, once Batman's gone, they're like, yeah, yeah, Selena will love me, and he's like, yeah, don't count on it, there, buddy.
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Because yeah, they have this kind of showdown with Batman and Tigress in the lab there, where he's like Dorian's like, I want to test Tigress like his metal against you, Batman, and like test his skill set. And so he's like, if you are able to outrun Tigress, I'll give you the cure to Catwoman's condition. And what's funny is like as Batman's like gets a head start, Dorian turns to Tigress. He's like, "He's all yours, Tigress." And Tigress just kind of gives him this cocked head side and goes, "Er?" Like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, go chase him, go kill him, you idiot!" Like,
Yeah,
Um,
there's that really their fight scene is cool, but there is Batman finally like he throws smoke bombs at him and then wraps him up in a net, and then there's this very funny line where he goes, "That cable ought to hold you for a while." And then he proceeds to fire his grappling gun with approximately 1,000 feet of cable. And it's like,
yeah,
hey, how about instead of for a while, you make it forever and just wrap that around him until he can't move? Because you're like, he is even laying the seeds of like, we're just delaying the inevitable until this thing breaks loose and kills me. It's like, and then he just fires off a solution to his problem into the night sky.
and even when he like kicks him off like the bridge in this kind of Temple of Doom kind of scenario, like he like you think Tigress is gone, but of course he's not. And like he ends up finding oh yeah, Catwoman meanwhile is back at the lab and like Dorian's like I'm going to give you the final injection to make the transformation complete. And so he's going to have Garth shoot like another he's always keeps on like shooting out of the gun. And like
Yeah.
Garth is like, oh no, Selena says, it's okay, you don't need that. Like, I'll just do it willingly. And Doran's like, that's a good girl. And Garth's like, are you friggin' stupid? This is a trick. And of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
But then,
gorilla
like,
is smarter than the mad scientist.
yeah. Oh, we didn't even mention it. Speaking of Garth, the training sequence where
Oh,
Garth
yes.
is shooting at Tigress. He's shooting silver eggs out of a bazooka at him,
Yeah,
and that is
yeah.
his training.
They're like, yeah, they're embedding in the wall. You're like, what the like, how is this training? Like,
So he's been trained well on this island.
I guess so. Yeah,
I think like
like
he thinks that like Tigress is going to be chased after by like a tank or something.
Or Egghead. Don't
I was
forget
gonna say,
Egghead.
yeah, like, yeah, who's like the egg villain in Gotham though that they're
Penguin
training.
or Egghead.
Yeah.
I think Vincent Price was still alive at this point. Like, what's he doing? Let's make him Egghead again.
Or even just have Vincent Price voice Dorian. Like, I'm pretty down for some Vincent Price.
Yeah, we're down for
Yeah, there
that.
we go.
Yeah. So that's when Batman and Catwoman finally meet up in the jungle. And she's like, I hear something. And that's when Tigress just like falls out of the sky. It's just like, where the hell did you come from? He's like, I don't, it doesn't matter. And so he's like, yeah, as you mentioned, he says to Selena, like, once I kill Batman, you will be mine. She's like, that's not how this, no, like,
Yeah. That's not how that works at all.
yeah. Well, like that's the thing. He's like, like that's not what my father said. And she pulls a Star Wars like, search your feelings, you'll know it to be true.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what? Like
This is
this script is
lazy.
all over the place, man.
Yeah,
Like,
this is just lazy.
it's lazy and yet my favorite kind of crazy. Like just pure references into like nonsensical like stories that have nothing to do.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I assume that at this point, like when they're creating the show, because they made the pilot obviously before the rest of the episodes to have something to show to Fox. So at this point, like the show is a hit, I assume. So it's almost like it's a combination of probably two things. One, an insane production schedule, again, to get 30 episodes out of an animated show is fucking nuts. But also, it's like we kind of have money in the bank here, and they didn't know that, uh, guys like me in their mid to late 30s would be picking this apart in 2024. It was just like, all right, just get it out there. Who cares, man? Kids will just watch whatever. When they're right. But it is fun to go back and be
It's
like,
still better
okay,
than half the crap on TV now.
100%, 100%.
See, kids, this is what effort looks like.
Yeah, it's what effort looks like, and it's also just like, all right, 22 minutes, baby, let's fucking go.
Exactly.
Which, having just seen the Joker 2, my God,
Oh,
yeah,
Oh,
I was this close to going to see it, and then I heard about the ending, and I'm like, I'm not wasting
oh,
my money for that crap.
dude, I will say this in the most spoiler-free way possible. Todd Phillips did to Joker fans what everyone said Rian Johnson did to Star Wars fans.
Well, and
Like,
it's
it is awesome. No, I love it. I will never see the movie again. It was dog shit, but I love that it exists, and it is not lost on me that Todd Phillips' first film was a documentary about Gigi Allen, and this was him shoving the microphone in his ass and flinging shit on an audience that paid to be there. This is his Gigi Allen fucking heel turn, and I kind of respect it.
well, it's like the Wachowskis all over again because like WB is like putting the blame on Todd Phillips, and meanwhile he's like, I did not want to make a sequel.
Yeah, yeah. I said what I wanted to say. But also it did circle the square for me of the hanging thread of the sequel, which is like this man is not capable of being a supervillain.
No.
So I kind of that they wrapped that up neatly, but they did it in a way where I was like, this could have been a 30-minute short film and it would have been kind of dope. But the fact that they added in the music and the Lady Gaga and the da da da, it's like, no, make a 30-minute short film, The Trial of the Joker, and then just have it end the way it ended. Like, I don't entirely hate the message of the film, but the execution was true. It was terrible. And
So,
I felt the same way about the first Joker, by the way. I didn't even like that movie. I was just kind of like, okay, all right, this is Taxi Driver, this is Kanker comedy put together. All right.
so,
Oh,
so
so
wasn't
that's
it?
why
So,
De
so
Niro's
was
in
it in
it.
fact a musical that they were trying to say that it wasn't?
Well, it was a musical in that it seems like Todd Phillips brought up a PDF of the lyrics to the Great American Songbook and then just control F clown, control F laugh, control F, and then just like picked, a few select words. And like, the only reason you're singing this song is because the second line is something about a fucking clown or about laughter. I was like, this is a dumb guy's idea of a jukebox musical.
They sang "Send in the Clowns," didn't they?
I don't remember. Dude, it was. I already have a personal distaste for musical. It's one of those. It's an art that I respect, but it's just not my thing unless it's filthy. Which basically limits us to Trey Parker and Matt Stone. If
I was
it's
gonna say Team America. Like,
if it's Book of Mormon or Team America or South Park Bigger Longer Uncut, I'm in. If it's just filthy, then yes, absolutely. But like an earnest musical, it makes me cringe, to whenever somebody starts, they'll just be speaking normally and then they go into it. And you're like, no, 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 oh, ah, ah. It's like being swarmed with bees for me. And they
Sing
kept
"Blame Canada" already. God damn it!
saying Uncle Fucker. Give me
You're not even a
Uncle,
real
give me,
country
everyone
anyway.
has AIDS.
yeah, give me freedom isn't free. I don't think I've ever laughed harder in a movie than Team America with with the puppet leaning up against the full-size grave at Arlington National Cemetery. Just genius. But like that's rare. That takes such panache to grab my attention. This was not that, and it's such a just a gloomy nihilistic film to then include that. I was like, you are just stretching this out for no reason. That movie is 2.5 hours long. And like I said,
Oh
Two
you
and a
fuck
could
me!
half hours.
it's two and a
Screw
half
that
hours,
noise.
dude, and you could boil the themes of that film down to straight up 30 minutes. And it'd be kind of cool if it was just like a DVD bonus for the re-release of the original, then sure. But my God. And some of it like looks cool, but you're like, to what end? To what end is this? So yeah, that's my spoiler free review.
Oh my gosh.
Brevity is the soul of wit, as the bard said. Gentlemen,
Oh my gosh. I can't even remember where we left off with the freak.
oh well, Tiger's my favorite line in the whole thing is when Tigers blows himself up, and then Catwoman goes, "Tigers didn't deserve this." You're like, he blew
Yeah.
himself up. Yeah, he did.
He was
He
trying to.
fundamentally did.
He's trying to kill Batman and fuck you. So of course he did. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't take Batman out of the equation. Take everybody out of the equation. If you blow yourself up, that means you did that to yourself. Therefore, you
Yeah.
deserved this. You exploded a bomb and it killed you. One
Yeah.
plus one equals two. He deserved that.
One plus one equals boom.
Bingo. Hell yeah.
I just love that scene of like Dorian like just having like his like childish temper tantrum, like you've ruined everything, Tigris, and the him slaps him.
Why did he have an antidote?
That's a very good question. He had no intention of actually curing her.
He would never do that. So
He was a
why
responsible
bother?
scientist, I guess. I don't know.
Well, if he was, he would need three captives, and one would have to be a control group, right? Like, if he
Maybe
was
then
doing if he was doing real science, he needs a placebo.
maybe his antidote is his version of a safe word.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get who are the other cat people in Batman? I'm trying to think. Do we got is it Wonder Woman? Isn't it a cheetah that she
Cheetah,
fights?
yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get
There
Cheetah
is
in
a
there.
cat man.
Yeah, Catman. There we go. Now you got your full scientific method approved control group for this
Yeah.
experiment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but there shouldn't be. I mean, if this guy is the zealot that we believe him to be to create cat-like animals, then he should have no antidote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's yeah, as you mentioned, like Tigress like realizes like, Selena's not gonna choose him, and he realizes he's been lied to by Dorian. Yeah, he blows the castle up to like sky high. And
Once again, this is not a remote island. It has a castle. Why doesn't Batman know about this island?
yeah,
Well, so it's probably like a bunch of islands, so you just need to know which one it is. He's like it's right down the road from like the Epstein Island, like the Gotham Epstein Island, maybe.
Well, that's in the Bahamas. Like, go there.
who would be the
Find
Epstein of Gotham? Do I even want to know an answer to that question?
Probably not.
Holy crap. Yeah, so yeah, we see Tigress like walking out of the flames carrying Dorian, and he says like to Batman, like, like just make sure he gets help. It's like oh, he needs help, all right. And that's when he sees Catwoman, and she's like, so I'm gonna be stuck like this, and he's like, is that so bad? She's like, I'd rather not be able to lick my own asshole, but
yeah, yeah.
like maybe you're cool with that, but
No, it's not quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, your answer is whoever the leader of the Court of Owls, right? Wouldn't that be the Epstein of
oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
the coven of billionaires that
Yeah.
do satanic rituals?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, like Harley Quinn was just like, yeah, we're just going straight eyes wide shut. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and so she's like, I want to be human again. And he's like, well, if that's what you decide. So like he leaves behind like the antidote, which once again, where did this thing come from?
Yeah. Well, the line is she goes, I'll be stuck like this forever. And he goes, would that be so bad? And you're like, yeah.
It's like I don't
Also,
want I don't want to look like a
also,
sphinx.
I mean, I guess he's taken enough of the serum to where he's stuck, but like, I don't know, feed him the antidote, see what happens.
Yeah.
Because if he reverts back to a human form, then he would be the first fully synthetic man.
But
You're
he,
like
but he
that
seemed
tiger guy in Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah,
but he seemed pretty keen on staying as the cat man though. So I don't think he would have taken it.
yeah,
At least this Batman doesn't seem like he'd force him to do the change if he didn't want to. Yeah. So
yeah. And I did note that he calls in the Batwing for the the extraction, but he only calls for three. And you're like, you dick! They don't know how to procure food for themselves. Fucking this Dorian guy was the one feeding them. Like they're gonna die. I like to think that Batman called in an airstrike on the island right after, like in the real, like in Island of Lost Souls. They just
He
burn it
just
to the ground.
napalms the island.
Yeah. He's like, hold on, I have to, Alfred, I have to take care of something. And he like flies back around and just fucking nukes the island.
Master
or
Bruce,
or,
what
or,
have you
or,
done?
or he just sends it back the Batwing back out, and Alfred's like, why does it go back out for? He's like, yeah, don't worry about
Don't worry, it's a neutron bomb. It'll just take out the creatures. I need to buy this island now.
it.
He's that jealous of the cat man for stealing his girlfriend that he's like, I'm gonna leave you behind in the flaming rubble.
Yeah, I mean, take the flaming rubble aside. He literally left them behind. And you're like, Garth and Tigress are fucked here.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, I don't know. Their training seemed to just involve dodging eggs. It didn't involve
It
gathering
was-
food.
Oh,
Yeah,
I,
and I'm
I
fairly
didn't even.
certain like whatever like gorillas eat is probably not local to that island. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
even how tropic it may be.
Yeah, because that's the freaky part. If you ever watch Island of Lost Souls, is there's like hundreds of these, freaks running around this island. Like that would have been cool. That would have been a cool thing to do if you're really doing an Island of Dr. Moreau. Like have more than two people or two manimals.
And I believe that's where the episode ends with silhouette of Tigress in front of the moon while Batman is reciting the fabled Tyger Tyger poem.
That's right.
So what'd you give this episode out of five tropical islands, Rivers?
Oh, out of five tropical islands, I mean, like I said, having just sat through 2.5 hours of Batman adjacent bullshit like last night, this was a breeze to watch and a joy to analyze. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I haven't done the deep rewatch of the whole series, so I'm just going off of the two episodes that I've talked about for this podcast. It's definitely better than that last one. I'll say that. So I don't know. Whatever I gave the last one, which I don't remember, put a
I
point
don't.
five on the end of that number.
So asterisk point five. All right.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Uh,
yeah, maybe a
well,
three
well,
point
well,
five out
all
of
right.
five.
Oh, what were you, Braden? What would you give this episode out of five tropical islands?
I think I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5, but the half point is mostly just like Dorian, just like his voice just making me laugh every time he opened his mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 2 out of 5 for me for being like about had like a rip off of out of the island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah, there we go. All right, well, that's the episode for this week. Thanks everyone for joining us from the Batcave to talk about Batman the animated series. Thank you, Rivers, for joining us. And next week's episode will be Moon of the Wolf. So it's a weird. I don't even know who the Wolfman is in this, so that'd be interesting because I'm not 100% if I remember this episode or not. So it'll be
Form
interesting to
animals.
see.
Bring on the menagerie of animals.
All right, so where can we find you on the internet, Rivers?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rivers Langley. You can check out my podcast. It's called The Goods from the Woods. It comes out every week. And if you happen to live in Los Angeles, November 1st, the wrestling promotion that I do commentary for, Wrestling Pro
Pro
Wrestling,
wrestling. Oh yes.
returns to life at the Regent Theater in downtown LA, which is crazy to say that. I'm calling guys, I'm not this is a job I just half-ass stumbled into in 2017. I love doing it. Every single time I call a wrestling event, I'm positive they're going to fire me afterwards, and they just keep asking me back. So, now I've been doing it for a long time. I've seen so many shows. The Regent's like that's a venue, man. That's a real fucking venue, and I'm going to be calling wrestling, and also it's actually a double bill. It's Wrestling Pro Wrestling and the Los Angeles indie rock band
The
Lily.
band, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's that one. Yeah, okay.
yeah, so
Is the Wrestling Pro Wrestling the one that has like the guy that's dressed up as like Chinese takeout? Like
oh yeah,
sometimes.
oh
Okay,
we
yeah.
yeah
Okay.
yeah yeah.
I,
So it's
I was remembering like I remember seeing that one point. I was like I'm fairly certain it's that or if it was just like a clip of somewhere else. Yeah, but okay.
yeah. So just a few weeks ago, Lily was playing a gig at the legendary Roxy Theater on the Sunset Strip here in LA. And during their last song, our four-time Wrestling Pro Wrestling champion Ricotta Flair, who is Ric Flair, but his head is a giant bucket of ricotta cheese. He came. He that son of a bitch. He came out on stage. He threw Parmesan in the lead singer's face, and he beat his ass on stage in front of his fans. And Dylan, I've been watching some of his stuff on Instagram. Dylan from Lily, he's still got the neck brace. He's still he's still pretty hurt, but he's banged up. But he's putting the work in, man. Dylan is getting swole, and he is determined to beat the shit out of Ricotta Flair in the main event at the Regent Theater, November 1st, downtown Los Angeles.
Has he done any spots yet for this for the show?
Oh yeah, go to the Lily the Band on Instagram. It's Lily with two I's, Lily, Lily the Band, and you can watch all of Dylan's promos that he's been cutting on Ricotta. You can go to Wrestling Pro Wrestling on Instagram and see Ricotta's promos. I think actually Dylan attacked Ricotta. Ricotta was doing some weightlifting, and Dylan showed up at the gym and beat the shit out of him last week. So this thing's heating up, man. I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we're gonna be there to call the action. Me and my friend Eric Barnes will be ringside for commentary, and then got all your favorite wrestlers, Chow Mein Charlie, who Adam referenced just a moment ago, and I assume Probably the rest of the Formage Horsemen, King Giraffadora, who's a three-headed giraffe kaiju monster that is so far unbeaten. So yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a fucking great show. So come out and see that if you live in LA, and if you don't, you can follow us on Wrestling Pro Wrestling on YouTube, and I think the show usually drops the Thursday after the event. So whatever
All right.
November 1st is the following Thursday. But yeah, that's all my stuff. And yeah, thank you for having me on. This was rad. I'm down to come back whenever and chat.
Yeah. We'll have you back on for another weird episode. Yeah, because I think that's the best thing to just get into. Yeah, with you, I think it would work. And you can follow us on Twitter/X at Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast. We're on YouTube now at youtube.com/at Beyond the Backcast. So check us out there, rate, review, subscribe there, or wherever you find your podcasts at Beyond the Backcast. And Braydon, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Daddy, and you can also find us on Facebook at Beyond the Backcast. And we have a Discord. We'd love to have you out, any of you guys listening, to join us. And trust me, we'll be talking about some of the weirder Batman villains like Dorian and Nostromo, as Rivers also remembers.
All right, you can follow me at on Stump Trumpet on Instagram. It's my personal account. And as I said before, thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series at Beyond the Backcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.